The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. We're live from Vegas tonight. I kid. We are not. We should be.
We could have
Welcome
done that.
back.
You didn't have that dumb testing.
True, but we actually should be live from Vegas after today. Welcome back to another episode of the Phixated podcast. I'm your host, Mike Azzolina, and I am joined by a man whose once inebriated ass caused me to have to climb through a window to get us back into our house in college. Chris Regensburg. Regs, baby! We're here.
So, first of all, yes, that did happen. We don't have to go into details. You can.
I feel like we're going to go into a little bit of detail.
You can DM us if you want to know the details. How about that? You can get in contact with us. We'll be happy to share.
I feel like I'm just going to share anyway.
All right, that's fine.
But the real question is, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good. So, as we're coming home, I was there with my two oldest sons today and my wife. They spent most of the time up at the wiffle ball field and the bullpen, throwing, seeing how fast they could throw, catching wiffle balls, while Dad actually watched some baseball today. But of course, around the fifth inning, they're inevitably tired and it's hot and, time to go so we can get back to Maryland. And so as we're in the car, we get all the way home. They don't want to listen to the game for some reason. I turn it on. They're not in the mood. We got to watch Paw Patrol or whatever else movie, gets turned on in the car. And then we're 5 minutes from our house. The 5-year-old says, "Dad, what's the score of the Phillies?" I'm like, "Yeah, we haven't checked in a while." I wasn't thinking anything of it. I just didn't want to see them still losing, so I didn't check. Flip on the MLB app. Oh, Bryce Harper hit a grand slam. Tie the game. Sick. So, of course, we turn it on and we catch Francie's call of the Stott home run. So it was good timing. We went nuts in the car as I'm trying to cross a 4-lane, I'm trying to cross 4 lanes of traffic to get going left. We were pretty excited about it. The boys got pretty excited. So it was a good day. It was a good day.
I hugged a lot of strangers.
There you go.
Yeah, my cousin left in the 7th inning. She had to catch a flight. I'm sorry, she left in the 8th. She left literally after Schwarber walked.
Okay.
Or Hoskins struck out. It was after Hoskins struck out. And she's like, "All right, I gotta go." And she said she was walking to the car and she could literally hear the roar in the stadium. And I was like, that probably wasn't even the grand slam roar. That was probably the 3-2 count roar. So yeah, very exciting day. We'll get into it in a little bit. And remind me to come back to Fransky.
Okay.
We got to talk about that for a second. We do. Let's Regs, I feel like we left our crew hanging here at the beginning of the show.
Did we?
I do. I think they want to know why I had to crawl through a window to get us into our house.
I tried to do some.
I know what you tried to do. I know what you tried to do.
Do I have to say the story?
I mean, I can. I feel like
I might as well.
All right. Well, let me start with this.
All right.
In the summer of 2008, which a great summer for Philadelphia baseball fans anyway. Regz and Banksy, shout out to a miss, lived on their side of the house all summer. Steiny went home for the summer. And I lived on the other side with Josh. Thanks, Puff. I lived on the other side of the house with Josh. Phil and Ryan had gone home for the summer. I was giving tours at the school. You and Josh were working together. What were you guys doing?
So first I couldn't find an internship, which is what I was trying to do. So I ended up working. What did Josh end up doing? I think we started
something with construction.
Yeah, so we started on a construction crew for the school. Yeah. They were tearing down a building. And so literally they paid students to literally go in and break cinder block walls and haul them away and do all this stuff. So of course, when you're there and you need rent money and obviously alcohol money, you do what you got to do. So I did that for a little while.
Foreshadowing for the rest of the story, actually.
And then ended up getting an internship with Enterprise Rent-A-Car for the rest of the summer.
That's what it was.
Through a
and
professor of mine.
Banksy was doing like basketball camp, right?
He was doing that and like his little odd jobs that he always does when he's, when it's summertime, and his grandfather's got him doing a bunch of stuff and all that.
Yeah.
So,
well, Josh was a pretty chilled out guy. Didn't like drink a whole lot.
This was Josh 2.0.
Yeah.
This was not freshman year Josh.
No. This was junior year. I'm buckling in.
Yeah,
going into senior year, buckling in, getting into law school.
Right, exactly.
Josh.
Yep.
So I would come out and come over to your side and we would drink and watch the Phillies, or go over to there was another group of people that were living there that summer. I can't remember who they were, but that's where we ended up going that night, to someone's house.
Yep.
Me, you, and Banksy and I left, I don't know if we left the same time as you or a little earlier than you. But you had the key to get back in the house.
I left before you guys. That was kind of my MO at the time.
All right. So, but you had the key.
Correct. So this house was one back road away from our house. You literally went out back of our house and followed an alleyway, literally the entire way to this other house. So
Correct.
Of course, being the responsible 20-year-olds that we walked. And Banks decided to give me the keys because I tended to leave parties first, because I just decided at some point in the night, I'm done with this and I'm going to go home. And that was usually earlier than everyone else. So it was always good to give me the keys, so at least I could get in and leave everything unlocked for everybody. So I don't know how much I want to incriminate myself in case people I respect listen to this, but let's just say there was a flavored vodka involved and there weren't chasers. So let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
As to how those nights usually went in the summer of 2008. So walking home, the road, the alley goes over a very small little creek, I guess you would call it.
Yeah, it literally, I don't even think it was big enough to be considered a creek. It
was a swale. It was enough of a swale that they put a little bridge over top of it. I, for some reason, decided to not take the bridge and went through the bramble bushes from one side up to the other. And so when Azzy and Banks get home, I think I'm sitting on the porch or the back porch, and I'm not inside, even with the keys. And Banks asked me, Regz, what are you doing? Why aren't you inside? And I say, I lost the keys. And he says, all right, second follow-up question. Why are there cuts all over your legs and arms? The answer to which I said, I fell in the river.
The river.
And it's a classic quote to this day amongst our friends. Still don't know where those keys are. So anyway,
long story short,
we're also house sitting Fairbanks's mother's dog.
That's right. I forgot
for the weekend because she was away.
Yeah.
And so we now are frantically trying to get back into the house. Josh wasn't there, so we couldn't get into your side.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're frantically checking all the windows, trying to see if we left any unlocked. Shockingly, we didn't. I don't know how we had been so cautious. But we find that one of those half windows is open above the sink in the kitchen. And now my big ass isn't getting through that window. Fairbanks is a tall dude, right? He's not fitting through that window. So, of course, our very slim friend, Mr. Azalina, steps up. And we boost him up through the window, over the sink to the dog, which is barking at this point because there's a person coming through the window.
That's right.
As he is afraid he's going to be attacked by this dog that is literally this big.
Who I know.
Yeah.
I know the dog.
Met many times.
Yeah.
The dog is this big.
Yeah.
And a ball of white fluff.
Yeah.
And so we hoist Azzy through the window and he unlocks the door and we get in, and to this day, we don't know where those keys are.
No, they're somewhere in the creek, apparently.
Yeah, the river, as I like to refer to it as.
The river. But we got in. I feel like Josh just might have been asleep. I think that might would, and I just stayed on your side.
Yeah, but why wouldn't we have I guess I don't remember. You guys why wouldn't you guys have had a key to our place?
I just didn't bring it.
But I mean, then why didn't we just
there goes the light. That was
is.
early tonight. That was weird.
I thought about texting you to
Look
remind
into
you to
that.
plug it in.
I did. That's weird. All right, we're gonna have to plug it in later. All right. Anyway, that we just figured we had to share that story with you.
This, all to say, is a preview of the Summit podcast coming soon to the Birdies and Bear Podcast Network. This is a small preview of the stories that you can expect on that podcast.
Just a quick glimpse into the life of the Summit podcast.
Just
for
a
sure.
quick glimpse.
That's funny. That is funny. Hey, real quickly, not a whole lot to update on the Moo Duck front. We won 20-4 this week.
Nice.
It was not very exciting. Kind of boring. I walked twice.
Oh.
Yeah. The first 6 pitches I saw didn't even reach home plate.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it was kind of obnoxious. Well, I mean, when you see the physique leading off.
That's what I mean. I wasn't being sarcastic. I was literally meant they were scared.
Yeah. But you walk me, it's 2 bases automatically. So
they didn't.
It's a weird league. Also, they hit like 3 home runs for outs, by the way.
Nice.
So it worked out for us that we played at that field. So that's the update on Moo Duck 7-0. It's just gets better. Just gets better. How'd the tournament go last weekend?
So we went 1-1. Didn't end up making it to the bracket just because it was a reduced bracket because of the rain that happened.
Gotcha.
So a reduced playoff bracket, which made us not get in due to run differential.
I was going to say, is that what they did as their tiebreaker? Because I'm assuming a lot of teams were 1-1.
How many runs you gave up? Yeah. So it was a little different. The rules were different than we were used to playing. Like our kids had to throw from 46 feet instead of 40, which is a big adjustment.
Oh, yeah, that is. Yeah.
Shockingly, our 7-year-olds did better than our 8-year-olds in that regard.
How about that?
Couldn't tell you how that worked out. But the more exciting news is just yesterday, we hit, it was 2 of the best hitting games we've ever had as a team. Like top to bottom, the whole lineup was putting the bat on the ball. And we had our first home run, which all the kids got excited about. Again, Little League home run. No, just like smashed it through everybody. And then it just obviously it just keeps on rolling.
Nice.
But first one of those, so the kids got excited about that. Won both games of the doubleheader. So, feeling good going into playoffs next week. And we'll see how it goes. Single limb, and I think we might only have 8 kids because of soccer tournament commitments,
Oh no.
Why soccer is ruining my baseball season, I'll never understand, but I can't force people to do something.
How are you going to do that?
We're just going to play with 2 outfielders.
Oof.
Yeah. So a little tough when it's the playoffs, but do what you got to do.
That's icky.
Yeah. Do what you got to do.
Well, I mean, listen, you've clearly done a good managerial job.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I mean, coming from where it sounded like at the beginning of the year the season was going to be till now. I mean, you're hitting home runs. Your kids are. It sounds like the fundamentals are there. That's all good, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's got to feel good. You got to feel proud. So
there are always moments every weekend or every practice where you can tell a kid something clicks. And that's really all you're looking for at this age. It's just something to sink in that they'll just kind of continue to do without you having to yell at them. That's the whole point of this. And
you know what? Like next year, if you're back with the same group, like the growth that you'll see again.
Yeah.
Because you talked about this before. You had these kids last year too.
Yeah, for a fall season.
So,
yep.
Yeah, so I think you'll just continue to see them like grow, get better, and
that's the idea.
You'll feel better about it too. That's awesome. Well, congrats, man. That's great. Look forward to hearing how playoffs go. Hopefully, you guys, get a taste of a win, in that bracket.
Yeah, I'll take one. I'm not, we have no expectations, but we'll take one.
The expectations are to have fun.
That's right.
But Reg's the manager, ladies and gentlemen. Reg's the manager.
Thank you very much.
We're proud of him here on the Birdies and Beer podcast platform.
Thank you very much.
Especially on the Phixated podcast. You know what manager didn't do a great job?
No, please tell me.
His name is Joltin' Joe Girardi.
Joltin' Joe.
See you, Joe. Good. See you, Joe.
The hashtag worked, everybody. We did it.
Yeah, we did it. We did it. Hashtag Joe's got to go. Came true after what, like 1 week?
Yeah, literally. One episode.
It was 1 week.
Yeah.
You know, we talked a little bit before the show. We were joking, and I did have a couple of people ask me, where was the emergency pod? And we're just not an emergency podcast. Like we don't do that. We haven't done it for anything yet.
I think we'd have to be getting paid for this podcast in order for emergency podcast to be a thing.
Yeah, you drop everything you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
That,
right.
You know, like when he got fired, I was in school.
I was about to say, yeah, I was also working,
doing interviews, and I got a million texts all at once, and I mean, I was thrilled. Yeah. Like, don't even think for a second that I wasn't celebrating mid asking a question about someone's best lesson that they've ever taught. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that I was there, fist pumping underneath my Zoom screen. It was just time, Regz. Like, it was time. I think when I look back on it, I'm curious to know your thoughts on this. When I look back on it, I think we were so excited about the start of the season that we didn't really think about like how impactful Joe Girardi's attitude toward the season was going to impact them. I think ultimately he knew this was it, right? They didn't renew him for the third year. They didn't pick up his option before the season. It was very clear that Dave Dombrowski, yeah, he's fine. He's okay. He's a fine manager.
Yeah.
Like, just had no interest in Girardi. So, and he managed that way. At least to me, he managed like he did not care and it did not matter to him. Like, he knew he was a guy without a job. That's how he managed this season. And every decision he made, every time he started a veteran that didn't need to be out there over Bryson Stott, or even over the last week over Mickey Moniak, or over Alec Baum, like it was just very evident that he didn't care. And someone said to me, "Oh no, he's a professional. He cares." I just never got the impression that Girardi cared. If I saw the shoulder shrug one more time in a press conference, and I had to hear him say that he was worrying about the end of the season, which is why he didn't pitch Sir Anthony 3 days in a row, or like, no, dude, no, you don't worry about the end of the season when you're not even in the conversation at the end of the season. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? Like, at any point, did you feel like he was interested in managing this baseball team? Were we kind of blinded because the shiny new toys that we got? Like, what was it? Because it didn't even cross my mind until about 2 weeks into the year when he was making all these ridiculous decisions and mistakes day in and day out.
So I think we did get sort of blinded by the shiny new toys. I think we all saw it last year, these sort of decisions that didn't make sense. These bullpen choices that just didn't make any sense. Even when the bullpen was bad and you knew that, bringing in anybody wasn't going to work, he still tended to make bad decisions.
Yeah.
Just based off matchups or whatever it might be. And I think, at least personally for me, I won't speak for anyone else. Personally for me, I think I reverted to, well, this team is now better, and the offense is that much better that might just overcome bad bullpen decisions. Maybe we'll be up 7-2, 7-3. And if the bullpen comes in and gives us 3 runs, maybe we score 2 more, maybe it's a 9-6 win.
Mm-hmm.
I think, but the same as you, the attitude part of it became just abundantly clear almost in the second series of the entire season. Just the sort of malaise that grew over this team in the past month and a half to 2 months. And I think Kyle Gibson was quoted because someone asked him, like, how do you feel about the perceptions that this team doesn't care? And he said something about his mother texted him saying, it looks like you guys aren't having any fun. And he had to like really take a step back and be like, oh man, like if my mom is texting me that, something's not right. And I think it was very evident that just the constant robotic answers, and even like we all know there's just manager speak, right? When a coach in any sport gets asked a question, there's a way that they answer certain questions outside of Bill Belichick and Popovich. Those guys obviously take it to an extreme. But in general, there's this sort of managerial speak or this coach speak that these coaches use when they're asked questions by the media. Joe almost took that to a whole nother level. It was just pure, I don't even know indifference is probably the best way to put it. And
a lot of apathy.
Yeah, that's a good word too. And you could see that it was growing over the team. And that's what was the worst part about it. Because to see guys, especially like Schwarber, who I thought was going to come in and be like a spark to this team, has always, from everything you hear, he's a great guy, a happy guy, really like brings the energy up in a clubhouse. And I thought with him and the new kids like Stott and, Baum trying to come back to like be his former self, Moniak, that energy would kind of just be coursing through this team all the time. Mm-hmm. And it was so lackadaisical. And it just looked like the guys were beaten down after 3 weeks of the season. And it's quite obvious that there was some sort of cloud hanging over that team. Who knows what it really could have been, but I think, like Thomson put it best, he was asked if the team is starting to have some fun again, and he was quoted that these kids are here and they're making it fun for these guys, like Stott and Baum and Moniak being back and Maton. They're coming in and giving us energy. And you're exactly right. It just like you could almost see like this like a fog grow over this team. Mm-hmm. And it was a shame because I really didn't think that was going to be the way it was.
We're going to do it. We haven't done this in a while, but because you were talking about it, I'm going to give you an agree or disagree. Yeah. This is
this segment.
It's actually from Alex Coffey, but it's a player.
Isn't she fantastic, by the way?
She is. She's a great follow. Thank you for that.
Her tweets are unbelievable.
Yeah, she is hysterical.
She's like literally one of my favorite people.
Yeah, Alex, come on the show.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, we'll get her on.
Yep.
Okay. So this is her interviewing a player, and as we always do with this, I won't tell you who it is until after.
Yep.
Our young guys have got to play. When you want your young guys to have success, they have to play every day. And when they have those opportunities, I think they're going to take full advantage of that. If that's Bryson, if it's Maton, if it's Bomer or anybody else. We need our young guys to come in each day being ready to play and knowing that we have faith in them to go out there and do their job and have fun doing it. I think from my stance, I'm not even going to go into it too much. It's an absolute agree. These guys, not just for confidence sake. Well, yeah, no, I think mostly for confidence sake. I mean, you just mentioned the energy, but if Girardi's still managing today, Stott probably isn't even in the starting lineup because Didi's back.
As soon as Didi was available, he was putting him back out there.
Absolutely was putting him back out there. So, for me, the more experience and exposure Stott gets, because he was good for the first week, and then all of a sudden pitchers, but now he's readjusting again. And he's not chasing that high fastball. He's not getting himself behind in counts, chasing pitches, because he's always had a good eye. Always. That's always been. Fritz said that when he was on our show before the season started. I think for these young players, it is about the confidence. Like do you remember like a week ago when Moniak was supposed to come up with the bases loaded and he pinch hit with Herrera?
Yeah.
Like, how is Mickey Moniak ever supposed to be confident in his ability as a baseball player in those big moments if he's not going to get to hit in those big moments?
Mm-hmm.
And I can pretty much, maybe I'm just going over the top a little bit here, but if Girardi is managing, I'm not convinced that he pulls Stott in that spot today and uses Garrett Stubbs. I am not convinced that he would have been able to control himself in that moment.
I'm not convinced either.
I mean, it might be a little bit of a stretch because you don't want to use your backup catcher, but it could be the last. It could be like the last play of the game, no matter what.
Yeah.
So like Puff agrees.
Yeah.
So I think like I don't know what do you agree with that or you disagree? Like these guys got to play, right?
So I completely agree. And to answer the second part of the question, that was Bryce Harper because I saw that tweet also.
You saw that tweet also. All right. Well, Alex, you gotta come on the show.
She's great. Again, I won't say it enough. It's fantastic. She's a fantastic
she really
follow.
Is.
Please
she
follow
really
her
is.
if you aren't.
She is hysterical.
Really good.
Yeah. She's hysterical.
Of course I agree. For all the reasons you said. I don't have any further insight. It's just, yes, I completely agree.
For sure. And so let's turn the page to the weekend here for a moment, because he gets fired on Friday, and they, as most teams do, come out and have the game that everybody's like, oh, it was all, you know what I mean? Like they scored 10 runs. Eflin goes 8 innings of like unhittable baseball, strikes out Ohtani and Trout on
Happens
6 consecutive pitches.
Yep.
Like, something that's like never been done with the two of those happens in that game. Harper, Schwarber, we'll get to him in a second too. We have to talk about Kyle Schwarber then. Both go yard twice. And then last night they score 5 in the first, kind of go silent for 7 innings, and then score 2 more on a Camargo single late in the game. And then today they go down 5-0, and you're kind of like, all right, well, typical Phillies, win 2, and then they kill their own momentum. But this was different. This was different. They had they took advantage of an error in the 8th inning. Schwarber and Stott both had really good at bats in that 8th inning. Actually, no, Stott's the one who should have grounded. Yeah, I think it was Stott that should have grounded into the double play. No, it wasn't. He had a really good at bat. He ended up walking. I lied. Yeah. And then Schwarber walked. Reese struck out, worked a full count, but it just swung in a bad pitch. And then Harp with the big grand slam. And then you get that sneaky suspicion because Knebel comes in and walks the leadoff hitter.
Oh my God.
And we've been Knebel guys on here, and that's something else I'm gonna write down a couple of things as I'm talking, because there are a few things I just want to make sure that we touch on before the end of the show. But he walks the leadoff guy and you're like, oh man. And then Hoskins, that's a ball he needs to get every time. The one that snuck through him, he has to make that play. So you're feeling kind of down again, and then Real Muto smokes a ball down the third baseline.
Caught,
pretty much, caught. Like, I mean, it wasn't, it was pretty much right at him.
Yeah.
And then Alec Bohm, 3 hits today and a walk. That's big time.
Good
because
day.
he was in a really bad place
after almost getting his own jugular.
Yeah, he almost gouged himself. Then Odubel has a classic Odubel at bat.
God, can we?
Nope, we're not. Just don't even, it's not even worth the conversation. And then Didi, who we haven't seen in months, comes up and slaps a ball into left field.
Color me surprised.
Yeah.
I was like, this is going to be 3 swings at 3 pitches that I don't even know where they're going to be. I'm just listening on the radio.
Or he's going to roll over.
Right.
Exactly.
To,
a
game-ending double play.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It was written in the stars. It was written in the stars. And then Stott just, I mean, what a professional at bat from Bryson Stott. Gets up 3-0, takes strike 1, foul strike 2 straight back. And I remember like thinking to myself, like, man, that that was a pretty good swing. Like, if he waits another second, that ball is finding a gap, or Bohm's gonna find his way home. And the next pitch, he just sat long enough on that off speed and just drove it. And oh my goodness, an unbelievable moment. So, ultimately what I'm getting at here in this recap is, you always see that first game after someone gets fired. Remember when they fired the hitting coach a few years ago and Charlie took over and they scored like 19 runs against the Reds?
I do.
Like, that always seems to be the case. And then, the next day is, you never know. And then the third day is, all right, let's see what you're really about. And today they really showed something that we haven't seen in months. We haven't seen this team come from behind the way they came from behind in a while. It's been a while. In the last month or so, it feels like whenever they get down, they're down by 50 runs.
Yeah.
And today they didn't let that happen. They chipped away at a 5-0 lead and found their way back in. The defense is still an issue, but they overcame it. They have a tough series coming up. Going to Milwaukee is not going to be easy, but they have a ton of momentum here. And I like to refer to Girardi as the momentum killer. I just don't think he cared enough, and I don't think he really gave an effort to get to know his players or communicate with them. And it sounds like that's something that Rob Thomson is about. So, your vibes after this weekend, and then I want to talk about a couple of specific people.
I think, like you said, the first game, like you couldn't have expected anything else after you fire the manager. I think, like you just mentioned, and Thomson talked about it in his press conference on Friday, that I'm going to make sure these guys know exactly what their job is at all times.
Yeah.
So to bring up something like that, it clearly wasn't that way before.
Mm-hmm.
And you never know the depths of that, but clearly Joe didn't put forth enough effort to keep his players informed of either what the plan was for them, when they'd be going, when they wouldn't be, all those things. And enough to make him bring it up in public to the media. And then I think like you today, as I said, I didn't turn on the radio. I didn't put it in my own, in my headphones while I was driving to listen to the game. So I'm like, why bother? I don't want to hear them give up another 2 runs here, another run there, and then not score any runs. I didn't feel like listening to that after the past 2 games that I was feeling pretty good about it. Especially the way Schwarber and Harper were hitting, over the weekend. And then, oh God, Knebel. Of course I start listening to that. After I get all hyped up, we see that Bryce hit the grand slam to tie it up. And then, like you said, I didn't see the play. I just hear Francie say, it hits Reese's glove, but gets by him. Of course, I'm like, man, Knebel just cannot put it together right now to get out of this. And then, of course, I think what we've seen, Bryce did this in Atlanta, right? Put the team on his back, got us up. We blew it and then couldn't come back after that. So I assumed this was going to be another par for the course to really kill that momentum that we just got over the last 2 games. And all I took away from the Stott at bat was that this guy was throwing 75-mile-per-hour curveballs. Because I can't see his swings. I'm just listening on the radio. So I can't see sort of how he's looking, how the guy's pitching, all those things. I didn't see the fouled straight back, how the swing looked. I just, knew this guy was throwing funky stuff, and who knows what it looks like or how he's doing.
Yeah, it's really funky, 3/4.
Yeah.
His body looked like it was 10 feet out in front of his arm, too.
Right. So it's just to happen to that guy at this time when, like you said, he starts the season. We need him there because Didi gets hurt. He steps in. He has a good couple, first week or so, and then really kind of drops off. And I just hope this is the point we look back on 10 years from now when Bryson Stott has been our either second baseman or shortstop for the past 8 years. And we're like, this was his rocket point. This was his skip off the pavement, that really got him going. because I think he needed it. It's like you said from the Bryce Harper tweet, or not tweet, the quote. These guys have to build confidence. There's no way to get confidence in baseball without repetition. It's just not a sport that you can jump in and out of and have any sort of rhythm. You have to be playing. You have to be getting the at-bats against the types of pitchers that you're going to face all the time. And so I'm thrilled that it happened for Stott at this moment when the team needed it to keep that momentum going, like you said, into a hard series away at Milwaukee. So it's just overall, like your question was, overall for the weekend, obviously extremely pleased. I'm really hopeful that I just want to see the energy of this team be back to what I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm.
I even think it affected Castellanos. If I look back on it, he's a guy who feeds off that energy. And again, we talked about what might have been happening in his personal life. You know, we'll never know exactly what was happening with that, but I can't imagine the vibe of the clubhouse was working with that guy's way of life and how he probably likes to be. So hopefully we flip that and we can start to see, the Phillies we expected.
Yeah, I mean, this is the right time to do it because the schedule, like we said, I mean, obviously you're looking at a tough going Milwaukee. It's definitely not going to be an easy series. You hope that they can sustain some momentum and take 2 out of 3 when they're out there. And then they come home for Arizona. Then they have Miami and 5 against
Philly Killers.
Right. And then 5 against Washington. This is where they got to do their damage.
Yeah.
Like June has to be the time that and then I think they go to San Diego toward the end of the month. So they have to find a way to do their damage here in the next few weeks. New York split in LA. And now they have San Diego, and I believe after that they go play Anaheim. Hopefully Anaheim can snap out of it a little bit. And help the Phillies out. The Phillies have got it down to 11 games, which doesn't feel like, but it different from where it was a week ago. I think right now the focus is the wild card, right?
Yeah.
That's got to be the wild card, but they got to find a way to, keep this momentum going. Real quickly, a couple things that you mentioned. I want to just touch on the Thomson thing. This guy's been around, man. He's like 56 years old.
Yeah.
Like he's been around baseball for a long time. I think he spent like 20 some years in the Yankees organization.
Mm-hmm.
And good on him for getting his shot. And obviously I want him to do well. Every time, he kind of speaks right now, it's clear that he has a vision for this roster. And that's, I'm going to play the young kids. I have a plan, and I'm going to communicate that plan to the players, and I'm going to spend the time to get to know them. I'm going to be in the clubhouse. And like you said, I don't think that was happening.
Yeah.
Communication tended to be the theme of the press conference with Dombrowski on Friday. A lot of talk about communication. And, for me, I was thinking back to when did I know this was going to happen? When did I know that this was going to be the end of Joe Girardi for sure? And I think it was the May 24th game in Atlanta, the game where Harper put him ahead, and he didn't go to Nelson, or he didn't go to Knable. He went to Nelson, and Knable wanted to call him from the bullpen.
Yep.
To say, I can go.
Yep.
And I think that was when I knew that, this was it for Joe. This was it.
Not just not Knable, but not Sir Anthony, who hadn't pitched, wasn't on his 3-day rule.
Yeah, and even Alvarado and Brogdon were both out there.
Right.
So, in that high leverage spot, that's not going to be a spot for Nick Nelson. So
who has pitched not bad.
He pitched really well today.
As this
sort of
really well today. Middle innings.
He's a long man.
Yeah.
He is what Clay Condrey was to the 2008 Philadelphia Phillies.
He is not a closer.
Come in and just, get, but you just can't run a team by basically saying, "Oh, you're down today."
Yeah.
You can't do that. You can't just go in and tell a guy that he's not pitching, because what if the game gets into the 15th inning? Then what?
Yeah.
you know, and again, Thomson saying like, I'm going to listen to guys. I mean, if they can look me in the eye and say that they can go, they're going to go. Tonight, when I looked out in the bullpen in the ninth inning, Sir Anthony was warming up, and he threw last night. So I do think that that's important. That's the biggest thing I think difference between Thomson, which by the way is not spelled with a P, and I need people to stop putting a P in his name on Twitter. It's THOMSON, people. Okay, let's get there. I've already gotten the autocorrect on my phone like a million times. I'm surprised I haven't caught myself actually tweeting it. But I do think that, you know, his communication and look, he's not perfect. I texted you last night. I came out and said that he's gonna you know, get his plaque ready for Cooperstown, right? But I think, you know, I definitely think that this is the right guy to get them to the next step, and to the next step being the next manager. And hopefully they get a playoff appearance along the way. It'd be cool for him to get a chance to manage in the playoffs. Briefly, you mentioned Knebel, and I think one thing that he should consider doing here before it gets too late is move Sir Anthony into that closer role permanently. I mean, he is absolutely lights out. Like absolutely lights out. And again, I like Corey Knebel a lot. But he's really having a hard time with his control right now.
And he's just turned into a one-pitch guy. He can't rely on that curveball right now.
Yeah, and the problem is that the fastball's not there either.
Right. But especially when you have to be one-dimensional in order to throw strikes.
Yeah.
Like, these are major league hitters. I don't care who you're going up against.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to know that with all the video that these guys review and all the like analytics behind it and all the work that these bench coaches and hitting coaches put in to get these guys ready to play every day. They're going to know after the first curveball. They're going to look at the dugout and like the hitting coach is just going to like give a tip of the hat, and they're going to know they're only going to see fastballs from then on out.
Yeah. And
they're going to be geared up for him. And that's what's happened. He's either walking or guys are absolutely mashing the ball.
Yeah. It's and again, I'm not here to say that Corey Knebel can't pitch, and I'm not here to say that he's like their biggest issue, because he's not.
No.
The back end's just a mess right now.
Yeah.
You know, Brad Hand, when he comes in clean inning, he's been lights out. I mean, the guy's been phenomenal. Juris Familia is still a thing.
Yeah.
And clearly, if this team's in it come July, they have 2 months to figure this out. That's what I like about the Girardi move. Like, getting rid of Girardi right now still gives them 2 months to figure out whether or not they need to go buy at the deadline. You know, you should get, if you're still in it at that point, you get maybe one of the bigger pickups of the deadline in Gene Segura when he comes back. But you know, I think if when push, and one thing that I'd consider, Regs, depending on where you're at, is maybe moving Ranger back to the bullpen if he can't figure it out starting, and you just acquire another starter.
That's something we're gonna have to talk about too.
He's really having a hard
time right now.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's bad. Jarring.
Yeah, and I don't want to be reactionary to it. I certainly don't want to detract from what the weekend was, and he starts Tuesday night. But like, it's something to think about. But you know, because he was so good in that late inning reliever role last year, that it's something you could consider doing.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't thought about that.
It just, you know, if there's more starters on the market, that's an option that you have. If there's more relievers on the market, then you leave it the way it is. But just something to think about. Yeah. And I definitely think they have to consider the Sir Anthony move to the closer role if Knebel can't figure it out. Couple more things here before we head out. I would be. It's been 4 games, I know, but June Kyle Schwarber is basically like the second coming. This guy, all of a sudden, it's just, I mean, the power.
Yeah.
I mean, even today, there was a ball he hit that Trout caught at the warning track that I thought was gone.
Sign, yeah.
basically dead ball era.
Yeah.
Like that ball, maybe in July that ball's out. I don't know. But it was just loud. It was loud.
So I'm going to be my usual, skeptical Regz coming in. I should have like an alert that flashes on the screen.
Here we go. Yeah, we're just going to start playing music whenever he comes in.
But
Debbie
the dude's
Downer.
been batting 189.
Oh, stop with the batting average.
I know you in batting average. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
Oh, God.
Anyway,
go ahead.
Listen, do I want this to be the Kyle Schwarber? Of course I do. Like, yes, it's the answer to that question. And did this manager move really, like, who knows? Maybe Kyle came into this and Joe,
no, this is really his, like,
killed his
these
vibe.
are his splits. These are his splits. He's never good in April and May. Ever.
Okay, then please keep it going, Kyle, is all I ask of you. When we get to Milwaukee, like, keep being that dude. Just don't go back. If this is what you needed to turn it around, great. I am on board. Give me all the stock. Give me 10 properties on Schwarber Island. I'm all in. Just don't let yourself come back. Just think, that was then. Starting the season, new place. I didn't like that manager's vibe. Awesome. Just eyes forward, buddy. Don't come back.
Here's the thing. He's at this point, it's going to be really hard to get that batting average up, like, to even 230.
I know.
Sounds ridiculous.
I just know about you. And
I hate batting average. I hate it. I hate it so much.
I know.
I hate it so much.
That's why I had to do it.
If the rest of the season, Kyle Schwarber, decides that he's going to hit 250, 260 each month, and he's going to end up with 8 bombs the rest of the year, like each month, something like that. Yeah. Somewhere between 5 and 8 home runs each month.
Sign me up.
Like he's third in the National League in homers right now. His OPS is up around like 780, which is solid.
And I think another Alex Coffey, shouting out her again.
Yes.
She had a tweet the other night about, I don't want to, she said something to the effect of, I don't want to take away from all the runs being scored, but the Phillies have walked like some amount of times that they haven't seen in this season before. And she's like, if that keeps up, really watch out. And I think that's the other Schwarber part.
Right now his OBP is like only 320.
I mean,
so
but
it's not.
He's looked terrible sometimes, swinging at all these like almost willing strikeouts.
Yeah,
watching like dead center fastballs go by, and you've seen him these past few days jumping on first pitches, as we saw the other night with the leadoff home run, and even today he swung at a couple first pitches. He's jumping now on those first pitch fastballs. Which is great. I want him to do that. Please, Kyle, give me more.
I heard the other day that he, I think my brother told me this, that he's taking like extra batting practice for like an hour or two after every game with Kevin Long. Like he clearly wants to be better. And again, I don't want to get in this old school like conversation of batting average doesn't matter at all. I just think it's a very overrated statistic, considering that baseball now is very difficult to hit a baseball. There are very few guys who are going to have that sort of a 300 batting average that once dominated the game. I got in this conversation with my cousin a while back, this very conversation, and he said, would you rather have a guy that's going to hit or a guy that's going to walk? And I said, I think it depends on the situation, right? Like, you score runs by getting on base. Like that's part of the way you score runs. You also score runs by hitting home runs. Both of those things Kyle Schwarber does. Yeah. So, again, he's not perfect, and he's had years where he's hitting the low 200s. Mm-hmm. That's not something that he's not, accustomed to. If I went back and looked, and I'm just kind of scrolling through some of his stats, he had 211 in 2017, 235 in 2018, 250 in 2019, 188 in 2020. Last year's up around 260, 270. And this year right now he's at 197. So, my he's just not a high batting average guy.
Yeah.
He's going to hit you a ton of home runs and he's going to walk a lot. And
I think it's the walks part that I'm happy to see come back.
yeah, he had a great at bat in the 8th inning.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
To load the
at
bases.
The beginning of the season,
great at bat.
He was striking out more than I expected him to. Maybe is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to see. I'm happy to see that switching.
Yeah. Well, I think, again, I just think June Schwarber, if you look at his career splits, you would see it. And I think I had him up a few moments ago, and I'm just going to see if I can yank him back up, and I don't think it's going to let me on here. But I think if you look him up and just look at his year, his career splits in the month of April, May, it's not been pretty for him. And then June rolls around and he's much better. So I'll be curious to see how that goes from here.
Yeah.
All right. One last thing. We talked about it earlier. You mentioned it earlier, the Fransky call. I think for me, the most frustrating thing about the drought that the Phillies have had is we have not had like great moments in the postseason that Scott Fransky gets the call. Like those two calls today, the Bryce Grand Slam, I've listened to Fransky's call like 50 times.
Oh, I didn't hear the Bryce one.
Oh,
can you send it to me, please?
I will send it to you. It is absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, I didn't get to that one yet.
He just has the flair for the dramatic in those moments. And look, Tom McCarthy is still one of the better announcers that we get to listen to. I mean, I know people who are fans of different teams that say like they love listening to the Phillies broadcast because McCarthy's good, Kruk is good, Amaro has really come around to becoming a good broadcaster. Ben Davis stinks, but like that is what it is. But I truly just need Scott Fransky postseason calls.
Yeah.
Like I need them like I need oxygen, like I need French fries, like I need my next round of golf. Like I need Scott Fransky postseason baseball so badly. We have been robbed of Scott Fransky postseason baseball calls.
We have.
And anybody who listens to him totally gets it. I don't care who's sitting next to him. I don't care if it's Kevin Stocker. I don't care if it's Eric Kratz. I don't care if it's Larry Anderson. I don't care if it's Jimmy the hot dog vendor in section 320. Like Scott Fransky is immortal radio broadcaster. The guy is unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's just like the call. Just listening to the way he preceded Stott's walk-off today. Like just the natural nuance of taps the bat head on the plate.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. Baggett comes set. He taps the bat head again. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just those little moments, those little things that he puts into each and every call.
I could just listen to him say, here's the wind and the pitch. Like I could just listen to that over. Like his cadence is so good.
Yeah.
And he doesn't rush anything. He doesn't try and fit. I think my favorite part about him is that he lets moments be.
Yeah.
He has a great ability to understand the timing of the broadcasts. And even if it's him and Larry, when like Larry says something ridiculous, he just like lets it sit.
Yeah.
He won't make a comment right away.
Yeah.
Because he knows we're all smiling or laughing or being like, Larry, what are you talking about? And he lets everyone have their own reaction, and then he chimes in at the perfect moment. It's always that, whoever comes set and here's the pitch. And it's beautiful. It's so good.
And there are many times where he or Larry or whoever's on with him. Today they had Ray Didinger on because he threw out the first pitch. And, he's really good at if someone's telling a story or he's telling a story and the game's going on, he sneaks the calls in so naturally.
Yeah.
Like he'll be mid story and he'll be like, pitch down low for a ball.
Yeah.
Or, pitch it in there for strike two. And like it just still flows.
Yeah.
And I think it just speaks to his talent, his ability to call a game. He's just dude, he's just so special.
Yeah.
As a radio broadcaster. He really, really is.
Yeah.
And selfishly, I want playoff baseball for playoff baseball. And I want a chance to watch this team and Bryce Harper get to play in the postseason, because look, at the end of his career, Bryce Harper's going into Cooperstown. And, I do think that Philadelphia is the place he loves and the place he relates to. And I think he'll probably
with the championship in
But
Philadelphia.
he needs a title.
Yeah,
he needs a title. And I want it for all those things. But man, I really need Scott Franzke postseason baseball. I just do. And these calls today and every call. I mean, I think every time there's a big play or a walk-off or something, I somewhere on Twitter will ask for the Franzke call. I always ask for the Franzke call because they're always so good. And again, like, we're very blessed that we have Tom McCarthy. And we're just the two play-by-play guys that we have I'd put them up against anybody. Any other play-by-play crew, TV and radio in the sport. I just think that, whether I'm listening to the game on the radio or I'm I'm watching the game on TV, I just feel like, we can't go wrong.
Yeah.
I just feel like we can't go wrong. So, what a weekend.
I can't wait to listen to the Harper call.
I'll send it to you then. I'll send it to you when we get off here. Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I'll probably listen to it like 3 more times before I go to bed.
What was the one where Francie was like, unbelievable? Which one's that one? Do you remember that?
The Roy Halladay perfect game.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. Yep, that was it.
Yeah. It
was the no-hitter.
It was the no-hitter. Yeah, it was the no-hitter.
Yep.
Yeah. It's the no-hitter.
Yeah,
Unbelievable. And the Phillies once again crowd around Roy Halladay. Yeah. It's bad that I can remember that. It's really bad.
I brought it up. I was the one who
Yeah, I'll probably listen to that then too. Unreal. So, all right. Well, hey, I think, again, we're going to be hesitantly excited here. We're going to be.
That's right. We're going
to lean in.
Cautiously excited. Yep.
We're going to lean in and hope that they have a good week in Milwaukee, and good week in Milwaukee is 2 out of 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come home and you play what's supposed to be a soft part of your schedule. And I think almost half of their games out of their last 90 are against the Reds, the Pirates, the Nationals, and one other really bad team.
That's a good
thing. If they take advantage of it, yeah. Yes. So again, you got to win these games because, the Mets are winning, but if you keep winning, then you're going to find yourself in the conversation.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens this week. It'll be exciting to see if they can continue the momentum and get themselves on a longer win streak than just 4 games. I'd like to see them, win 6 or 7 in a row, or 6 out of 7 would be fine. 6-1 to start the month would be nothing to sneeze at. Coming home to play the schedule that they're playing, and they might be able to find themselves even back in the conversation for the division. If you have a 2 or 3 week span where you're 13-3, something like that, you're definitely going to gain some ground along the way
for sure.
So, all right. Well, I'm going to kind of go. We went off the beaten path last week, and I'm going to go off the beaten path again this week. I went to the reason we didn't have our show on Thursday is because I went to a high school graduation in Manheim Township. And for those of you that don't know, that's where I taught for 8 years before I became an administrator. And I hadn't gotten a chance to do that yet in my career. Not because I haven't had kids graduate. 2 of my classes have graduated before this one. And the problem was that with COVID, I couldn't go see either of those groups graduate. The first year graduation was pretty much virtual for most places. And then last year they were still only doing families only, so I couldn't go see last year's group graduate either. So that was pretty hard. And then I had a bunch of parents reach out to me about going to this year's graduation, and certainly wanted to be there to see some of my students walk across the stage. And as I got there and I sat down and Andrea and I were there, as they kept calling names, and I was like brought back to like these kids sitting in front of me 10 years ago, and they were 7 and 8 years old, and I'm like watching them walk across the stage, and I can see their faces and remember the looks that they would give me, their personalities, all of that. All of it came back, and I remembered every single name as they were announced. I was like, yep, that was mine. Yep, that was mine. I kept leaning over to Andrea. She was mine. He was mine. And this is the class where my one student is going to Penn State. He's a 4-star wide receiver. So that was this class.
There you go.
And, watching him walk across the stage was really cool. Just so many moments, like so many kids walking and getting their diploma, and thinking to yourself like that you had that small piece of their lives. Like you had 180 days to impact them in a positive way. And did you do what you should have? And so like those after the ceremony, we happened to be sitting behind one of my students' families, one that I've remained pretty close to. And we walked out with them. I was going to hang and just, see her, since I was there kind of with that family. We were already with them. And as I'm standing there, a couple of my students walked by, and one of them looks at me, and he double took, and I leaned in, and I was like, hey man, I don't know if you remember me. I was like, it's Mr. A. And he goes, oh my gosh, Mr. A, what? I can't believe you're here. You're the man. Oh, you were like my favorite. I'd still talk about you. And this isn't as much of a humble brag as it is that to say that in that moment it was then that I knew, yeah, I made an impact, and he does remember. And as I saw more kids, the girl that I was there with the family, she told Andrea, he's my favorite teacher of all time. He'll always be my favorite teacher. We went and found another student, and after I saw his family, they came over and said hi, and I went and saw him, and he was like, do you remember me? And I was like, yeah, man, I absolutely do. I was like, I'm so proud of you. And he's like, oh, I can't believe that you came. This is awesome. It's so great to see you. I heard you were here. But so I think I'm talking big scale here when I say the impact that you can have, but I think just an overall general vibe of the impact that we can have on people every day, just in the way that we treat them. Because honestly, Regz, I did nothing that any other teacher doesn't do, right? I showed up to work every day. I taught. I did, I loved those kids with every fiber in my being. And they knew that. They knew how much I cared about them. That was never in question. And I think, just that gentle kindness that is shown every day went a long way. And I think that in a world that doesn't necessarily have that at every corner, kind of bouncing off of what we talked about last week, and, sending those people who have struggles down the wrong path, I think you never know when you're making an impact on somebody, and whether that impact is positive or negative. Sometimes it's easy to make someone the butt of a joke because it's just an easy joke, right? But we don't know what kind of day that person's having, right? And we don't know where that person's coming from, or what the last few weeks have been like for them. And even just the casual walk down the street, a simple hello, could do for someone. The woman that we bought drinks from at the Phillies game a couple weeks ago, she was in line. She was the woman that was working again today, and you could tell she was having a rough day. And when I finished paying, I said, "Hey, let's go crush the day. Have a great rest of your day. And you could like, it almost caught her off guard that like someone told her to have a great day. So like, I think what I'm fixated on today is telling our listeners, like, even when you're having a rough day, try your best to make sure that you find an impact, a way to impact somebody else for the positive. It's really easy to just be kind. It's probably the easiest thing that you can do for somebody. It doesn't cost you anything. A smile is free. A hello, a head nod, a have a good day. All that stuff is free, and it could really change someone's world. I got to show up 180 days and do that for kids, but I think I have to remind myself to do that naturally, just in the grand scheme of a simple Monday afternoon, walking down the hallway, or Saturday morning walking through the grocery store. It's not always at the top of your list of things to do, but it is something that could change the complexion of someone's day, or maybe even their month or their life. So, go out of your way, be kind. I'm fixated on that. I think, just kind of living through what I lived through on Thursday night with the graduation, I was brought back to like the impacts that we can have on people, and just the different ways that we can do it. So definitely out of the realm, not the sports fixated 2 weeks in a row. Maybe I'll get back into it next week. But it just, I don't know, something kind of struck me.
We never said fixated had to be sports related.
Yeah, how about it?
Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, people seem to like last week. We got 30 plus views on our YouTube video.
That's awesome.
Which is wild.
Awesome. That's great. I hope, if this fixated resonated with you, hopefully you send this out. It's just an easy message.
Listen,
be kind.
yeah, again,
easiest thing you can
not
do.
to like toot our own horns, but again, you see it in different things. I had a kid on the baseball team, the Warriors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come up and and he was next to me. He was like holding my leg. He's this big. Like I had him as a T-ball kid. And I thought he was pretty talented, like compared to other T-ball kids. So I had him try out. He made the team. He's been struggling a little bit, like really being unconfident at the plate, getting discouraged by a couple things. He finally hit this week. He finally did it. He crushed one. And I looked at his mom and dad. And I was like, we did it. We got through it. And they're, of course, excited. And then after the inning, he like is just next to me, and I go to move, and like I bump him because literally he's up to like my butt cheek. That's how like small this kid is. And so I'm like, oh, Dom, I didn't see you there, buddy. And I was like, what's up? And he just like looks up at me. He's like, oh, nothing. I'm just really happy you're my coach. And I was like, Jesus, man, like, come on.
Yeah.
You can't be saying that to me in the middle of a game. Like we're trying to play baseball here. What are you doing to me?
Yeah.
And it's just
it's those moments, man.
You never know, right? I might see that kid go to the major leagues one day. I'll be like, I knew that kid.
Yeah, it's and again, we're talking on the grandiose scale. Like we're talking on the where our job or our role is to have an impact on people.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody has that luxury, that opportunity in their day-to-day.
But it's like you said, that's where that
jobs.
like little head nod or saying to the person who like you check out at the grocery store, like, hey, I hope you have a good one.
Yeah. And even calling them by name, right? Like looking at their name tag and saying their name and tagging them, personalizing it a little more. Like that stuff can change somebody's entire day, and I feel like you never know what someone else that you're talking to is going through. Or the person that you're walking by or walking next to, you sit next to, on the bus or the subway. Like those interactions could really, save a person and put them back on the right track. So, I think, if you can do it on a grander scale, like Regz and I are able to do, great, do it. Be intentional about it. But if you can't, then find a way to do it on a smaller scale, find a way to do it on a smaller scale. Just, be kind, make others feel good. It makes you feel good. So, go make an impact. But yeah, good show, man.
Hey, good job by you as always, buddy.
Always a good time. Make sure that you guys follow us here on YouTube. If you're watching us, you can click the subscribe button right below us here on the screen.
3 away from 20. We're at 17 subscribers. We need 3 more.
I mean, if we get to 20, I feel like we got to do something.
We just had 30 people watch a video, and we only have 17 subscribers. The math isn't adding up, people. Come on.
They're not clicking that button. Make sure you click that button.
We don't charge anything.
Yeah,
all of this is free.
We'll sign a picture.
Yeah, sure.
I'll sign a picture for you. No, yeah, make sure you click the subscribe button. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, the Phixated fan page. I have not been great at keeping that up to date. I'm going to go ahead and do something with that this week. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at the Birdies and Beer Pod, but also follow us on the Phixated Pod. We got to get that. You've been doing a much better job than me, Regs. Of
We're
keeping that going here.
Listen,
yeah. Once summer hits, I'll be on there quite a bit.
So new plug. I know I don't plug myself, but I'm not plugging myself. I'm plugging the network. So we obviously appreciate everyone who listens, follows, interacts, watches the YouTube videos. It's like we say every time we talk about this. It's unbelievable that more than me and Azzy listen or watch these things. Even parents, friends, family members, no one is obligated to watch or listen to this. And the fact that people do consistently is unbelievable. It's not well known because I don't plug it a lot because I feel a little weird about it, but I want to try and be better about it just in case. Okay. We do have a Patreon where if you do want to support the show monetarily, you are able to do that. One of my goals over the summer is to put the sort of rewards program together for that. There will be rewards with different tiers that you can join, you know, little exclusives, merch things when they come out, you know, things like that. So we'll be working on that. But if anyone, again, this is not an obligation by any means, but if you were so interested, we do have a Patreon. The link is always in the podcast description or in the YouTube video description. So if you're so interested, you can go check it out. We'll be beefing that up a little bit here in the coming months, but I'm going to start plugging that just a little bit.
Love it. I love it. I love it. Also, make sure you're, I think I already said to follow Phixated Pod.
You did.
Okay. And then follow me at the Mic Drop 5.
That's right.
As well. Guys, always great talking to all of you. Talking Phillies baseball today only. We're going to be. I think that's the direction we're heading here in the next few weeks. I think once school lets out here and we get a couple of shows in, we're gonna do our fan show where you can come in and actually talk to us. We're hoping to do that. I think before the end of June or here early July. So. We're excited for that to have people actually come live.
That'll be fun.
And talk to us and obviously we're gonna screen you because we can't have any chaos occur once you're in here. Can't have that. Can't have fixated chaos.
The mute button is very close.
It's very strong. I'm a very quick muter. I taught on Zoom, so very quick muter. Hey guys, we appreciate y'all listening to us. We love you. Make sure you have a great week. Go be kind to someone, and go Phils. We'll see what happens. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Talk to you next week.
Oh my God! Deep to right field, way up there and way out of here.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.